Hello, hi YouTube. This is Christina checking in and have a fun topic that I am wanting to talk about today, and that's being 6 years post-op and just what I have learned in respect to dealing with the opposite sex after losing over 100 pounds, especially being a married woman. Just to give you a brief overview. I had weight loss surgery about 6 years ago. I started the journey a little under 300 pounds. I actually think I was over 300 pounds at one point, but when I was finally weighing in, it was just under 300 pounds. Today I weighed in at 196. So I've gone up and down. I've been down as low as I think about 154, 157, somewhere in there, which was a little too thin for my frame. I am 5'8". I'm currently right now about a size 12, 14, size medium, large tops. And so I've gone up and down over the last 6 years, but have pretty successfully kept off 100 pounds plus. And I've learned a lot. I am 42 years old now. I was in my mid 30s when I had the surgery. Excuse me, my late 30s when I had the surgery. No, mid 30s. Yeah. And I've done a lot of growing up during that time, but I'll never forget the moment that the way I interacted with men had to change. And to be really honest, that was a very devastating moment for me. It wasn't something I had anticipated as being an issue before I had weight loss surgery. I kind of thought, I don't know. It's funny going back and watching some of my old videos. I was like, what were some of my concerns? Because I've lived with this now for 6 years, but definitely how I dealt with the opposite sex as a married woman. I don't even think that was on the radar for me. But the story goes, my husband and I are wedding photographers, and we had to fill up with gas somewhere in the Bay Area here in California. And I went in to go get a drink or something at the Jack in the Box or whatever it was, as my husband was filling up with gas. And I walked in and I'm looking up at the menu, and two men walk in behind me. And I'm a very friendly person by nature. I always like to say hi to people. I always like to start conversations. That's always just been my nature. That's in my essence. That's just kind of who I am as a human and as a woman. And they came in and they're talking, and I looked over and I said, oh, hi, just per normal, and was just smiling and talking. And then something just felt different. And it was something that I wasn't used to feeling. It just all of a sudden felt different. And I remember I was still chatting with them, and then one of them kind of looked at me and was like, well, can I get your number? And I thought, get my number? I mean, I have a wedding ring on. It's not like I didn't have a wedding ring. And I realized that they had misconstrued my friendliness as being flirtatious, and which sucked. Just to be really honest with you, it sucked. It made me so sad because, first of all, that was never my intention. And I didn't want to hurt my husband's feeling. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful in that regard or disrespect my marriage at all. But the part that sucked out of that entire situation was realizing that the way I interacted with the world had to change. And that sucked on a lot of different levels. It sucked because that's part of who I was. I just liked being a very friendly, open, happy-go-lucky, talk to everyone, see how everyone's doing. To I didn't even know what I needed to become in order to stop that. And I just remembered that I realized that there was part of my essence and part of who I was as a person that had to be minimized. And not necessarily stomped out completely. I will say at that time, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, do I have to change completely? And I just didn't want to change. I liked who I was. But I knew that something had to change so that I wasn't perceived as flirtatious. And that was very infuriating and angering because I was like, why wasn't I seen that way when I was 300 pounds. Like, why was I able to be super friendly and super fun at 300 pounds and that wasn't considered sexual or flirtatious? But now at like 100 and something pounds, all of a sudden I'm seen as flirtatious. And I realized, well, that's because now I was considered desirable, which I thought that like super sucked because it fed into this really horrific mental image of myself as not being beautiful or not being worthy, which I thought, first of all, that's BS and that's stupid and that was angering. It made me angry just at men at whole of like, oh, I'm sorry, I have to change the way I interact with you or else you think that I want you. Like, that made me really mad at men. And it just made me mad at like it almost made me regret having the surgery. Like, it made me because that was something so about myself that I really, really, really loved, that I had to change for other people, that I just thought was utter bullshit. Like, it just really made me mad, and it made me want to I don't even know. I just remember feeling, and still sometimes to this day, feeling like that's not fair. Like, I want to be able to look a man in the face because I'm very comfortable with looking men in the face. I do see myself as an alpha, but I want to be able to look a man in the face and say what I want to say or be friendly and it not be misconstrued as sexual and it not be misconstrued as, look, I'm interested in you. Like, that to me is utter bullshit. And I just remembered that day as part of me died a little bit. Part of me was like really, really sad about that. And since that time, I've recognized that I've changed the way I interact with men. I won't look men in the eyes as long as I used to, where I will look at a woman in the eyes and talk to her and touch her and that kind of stuff. But at 300 pounds, if I went up to a man and touched him and it kind of came into his personal space, since I wasn't considered desirable, unfortunately, by a lot of men, or sexual, I was an overweight person. And let's be honest, in society, unfortunately, people that are overweight, it's still an acceptable discriminatory area, which again, I think is utter bullshit. But for whatever reason, since I wasn't considered in that realm or dateable, which still angers me to this freaking day, I could go up to a man in his personal space and like, hey, I need you guys to come over here. We're going to come over this way, as being a wedding photographer and getting people to come over with me. Never, no sexual tension, no nothing. To when I walked in somebody's space, you would see other guys go, hey, like, I think she might be into you, or hey, blah, blah, and you would hear them whisper it. And it's like, wait, what? No, I've done that my entire life for 30 plus years and nobody has ever questioned it. And then now I lose 100 pounds and all of a sudden I'm a flirt. I mean, it made me question everything. And I was very honest about this with my husband, and he could write a book on how to be a spouse and how to be a partner to somebody who's had weight loss surgery, because he really has handled it textbook perfection. I think that's just because that's how he is as a human, and he's very sure of who he is as a man and as my husband, and has like no reason to ever doubt anything or my loyalty. So I've always been able to be very honest with my husband about this struggle and this frustration. And he's brought to light just a lot of, he thinks it's utter bullshit too, because he always thought I was beautiful at 300 pounds and he thought I was beautiful at 250 pounds. He thinks I'm beautiful at 200 pounds. He thinks I'm beautiful at 170 pounds. He's never seen the difference. So he's like, wait, what? Are you serious? Yeah, guys are stupid is very often his response to that. But I've seen other women who have lost this considerable amount of weight, and I've seen this conversation go back and forth. I've seen women kind of throw a little shade about like, well, wear your wedding ring, or well, you shouldn't be flirtatious. And I'm like, I don't think it's my responsibility necessarily to have to change the way I am so that a man won't think that all of a sudden he's desired and he's wanted. And it's still obviously something I struggle with and I'm frustrated with even to today. But I will say my eye contact and my proximity to men has changed considerably since I've lost a lot of weight. And I've had to change, unfortunately, a little bit of who I am. That goes respectfully with other women in my life and how I respond and how I am with their husbands. That I deliberately don't put myself in a position that can be seen as threatening or as flirtatious. It was never, ever my intent to be flirtatious with any of my friends' husbands. That's just not who I am and never even been on the radar. However, as I lost a lot of weight, I noticed that people in my life were possibly threatened by that weight loss. For whatever reason that's in their life, that I had to change and be a little bit more careful on how much I interacted with their significant others as to not threaten my friends and where they were in that journey. So just being a little bit more sensitive and more aware of my body and my space and my eye contact and my touch was just fascinating. To be 300 pounds and be completely unconstrained and just be one person, to losing that, and just that weight loss changed the way I had to interact with the opposite sex. So for whatever it's worth, that's something that was a really big struggle, and something that it took me about 2 to 3 years to fully come to grips with and change and still be who I want to be, but in a way that is non-threatening. Again, utter bullshit, but not something I think that's talked about a lot, and I wanted to put out there. So love to hear your comments, love to hear your thoughts. I'm going to be trying to post regularly, weekly here again, for one reason, to get back to the bariatric community, because these were things that I was curious. Like, I would have wanted to know this before I had my my weight loss surgery, so to give back, but also for me to work through things, and as a journal that I can put out there and reflect on as I get older and as I continue to grow. So thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, comment if you have any feedback. I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to continue this conversation through YouTube.